Hello and welcome to Practical Knife Reviews. Today for you we've got the Ryder Blue Mule small toothpick RR2169. So of course, as always, we're going to take a closer look inside, but we'll just do a brief run through. We have G10 covers. G10, of course, if you don't know, is a like a composite material. It's glass cloth that's impregnated with resin and then hardened, so it's basically indestructible. Nickel silver bolsters, pins, 440A stainless steel blade. Doesn't hold an edge forever, but it's super easy to sharpen and it's super stain resistant. Brass liners, made in China. Good centering and all of that. We'll look closer at the fit and finish when we go inside, but it's pretty cold out today, so we're going to try to speed this process up and do the cutting. I should mention there's a half stop. Now let's see some slicing action. Is this knife sharp? Got some paper here. It should be mentioned that this is the second time that we've recorded this review.
Because Mom's dumb.
She, instead of hitting record at the beginning, hit record at the end of the video and then put the phone in her pocket. And so, yeah, the only recording that we have is at the very end. So you see, it's sharp enough to slice through here, but the edge is a little bit hairy. Yesterday it was sharper, so I haven't sharpened it since yesterday. I had it razor sharp yesterday, but it's already lost a little bit of its edge based on the test that we did yesterday. But on the paper, it's still sharp. Let's check cardboard in case this is your EDC knife. Very thin edge, so it does, ripping there a little bit, but very little effort to go through the cardboard. So even though it's not as razor sharp as it was yesterday, it's still plenty sharp. Let's do the apple peeling test. A caveat that I always have, I'm a terrible apple peeler, but I did this yesterday, so I should know how it goes roughly, and I'm seeing more or less the same thing, which is that the blade is sharp, the blade is thin, it gets under the skin well, but either the geometry of the blade, just the shape of the blade in general, this really narrow clip point blade, or the fact that the handle is very small as well, so I have a very awkward grip going on with it, I'm not able to peel this apple as well as with a lot of the other knives that we've tested on the channel. So you can see I can get under the skin easy. It's really sharp, but when I start going, it wants to dig down really hard, or it's just a little bit hard to control with the peeling. So I'm not a good apple peeler. That could just be me, but even compared to other apples that I've peeled with other knives on this channel, so the control specimen being me, it is still me peeling the apple, somebody who's terrible at peeling them. I'm having more of a problem with this one than other ones, and it might just be because of the size. Next, we're going to see how it does on wood. We've got some pine and some red oak. We'll start with the pine, which is a softwood. And while I start feather sticking this to see how it does on pine, and I will mention there's no lock on this, it's just a traditional slip joint. So you have to go a little bit slow to make sure that you're not overdoing it and have it close on your fingers. Although there is underneath the kick here, if you put your finger there, it really can't close on your finger. So if you hold it just like that, you'll be okay. But while I do a little bit of feather sticking, Ma, why don't you start giving your opinions on this knife, the first impressions, which is, this is actually the second impressions, but we'll pretend it's the first impressions.
It's the cutest little knife. I like the color. I love the shape. I like the horn end of the metal on the
powder horn shaped handle.
Yeah, the powder horn shaped handle. The practicality with the blade, as narrow as it is to me, it loses a lot of functionality. I think the apple peeling in that was due to that.
We can see that it makes decent feather sticks. It's just with the blade being so narrow, it's hard to get really long strokes going, but it does feather stick all right on the pine. And now we'll do it on the red oak. This is the hardest wood that we have in our forest, as I say every time. While I'm feather sticking this, Ma, you were carrying this knife in your pocket for a few days. What was your thoughts about it as a pocket carry knife?
You wouldn't even know it was in there. It's that light, it's that thin and small that carrying it, it's just nothing in there.
So I'm struggling a little bit more with the red oak. If I really take my time, I can get it, but I'm not a take my time kind of guy, so that's not really my forte. You see, we've got a few feathers. Let's turn it and try a different face just for the sake of it. Maybe it's a grain. I feel like it went a little bit better yesterday. Do you remember if this feather stick the oak a little bit better
I think
yesterday?
a little bit better, yeah.
So that might have been a little bit of the edge loss in terms of just how like shaving sharp I had it yesterday versus it's a little bit hairy today. Or it could just be this piece of wood is, you know, the grain is not aligned as nicely. But yeah, we're struggling a little bit on the oak here. You see, we got some feathers, but really not that nice. But part of that, I think, does come down to how narrow the blade is. As you mentioned, Ma, because of the size of the knife and the blade, you're going to be limited in terms of what you can do with it.
I do have a comment on what I think you could use it for, because it's such a sharp point that you could actually like intricately clean out fine grooves on something. Like for instance,
you can. I know that for a fact because I've done it.
Yeah, I could see that. Then it would be super useful for that.
Yeah, I was just about to say more or less the same thing. For big cutting stuff, this isn't really the knife that you're looking to use. Let me just make sure that the time's still ticking. Make sure we don't have a repeat of yesterday. So yeah, this isn't really the knife you'd want to use for big cutting tasks, but for opening packages, it works really nice. It's got a nice sharp point to pierce through it. It's a slicey blade, so it goes through cardboard and tape well. I know because I've used it on packages. For light cutting tasks like that, or, you know, cutting threads on your clothes, this fits in a watch pocket really nicely. If you're not going to be doing a lot of cutting, like Mom, this is a nice knife to put in her pocket because she doesn't even know it's there, but then all of a sudden she realizes she has a loose strand on her shirt and she just has to pull it out and slice it off. So I guess that's more or less the overview of the Rough Ryder Blue Mule. So the Blue Mule is the line. If you type in Rough Ryder Blue Mule on SMKW, they'll all have this blue G10 handle. That's the series. Small Toothpick RR2169. And I will mention, last point, just because I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. You can get this for $7 regular price on SMKW. If you get it on sale, it's even less than that. I believe I got this when it was on sale. But normal price, $7. And I mean, to me, $7, indestructible, essentially. I mean, G10, you'd have to break the brass liners and flex the whole knife over to be able to break these. It's not like bone where you could get cracks and stuff like that. This stuff is really basically indestructible. So $7, certainly a lot of worse things you could spend $7 on. Any final thoughts before we take it inside, Ma?
Oh, cute knife.
Okay, then we'll be right back. We're back on Practical Knife Reviews, looking at the Rough Ryder Blue Mule Small Toothpick RR. Is that 2169? So this is obviously a very small knife. Just to reiterate the points again, 440A clip point blade, so won't hold an edge. Super long, but super easy to resharpen and highly corrosion resistant. Nickel silver bolsters, nickel silver pins, brass liners. Yeah, made in China. Rough Ryder. $7 from SMKW. Let's get some measurements while we're at it. Ma, why don't you talk about what you like about oh, and I guess we'll look at the fit and finish first. You can see the springs are pretty tight. If you turn this just the right way, let's see if we can get this light here. If you turn it just the right way, you can see there's a hint of a gap along this side, but I mean, that's nitpicking. It's really tight all along the back spring. Centering is, let's get the light on it again, pretty much dead center. So fit and finish on this little toothpick's quite nice. The pull is like, I'd say a 4, maybe 4.5. It's hard to tell because the nail neck is really shallow, so it's hard to get your fingernail in there, but I'd say it's about a 4. Now let's get some measurements while Mom talks about it.
I like it. It's a bit hard for me to open. My fingernails aren't able to get into that groove to pull it open. But if I can lift it up just a little bit, I do a double-handed and grab it with the other hand to open it, and then it's fine.
So it's 3 inches closed. Open, it is, we're looking at 5 1/4 inches open, 2 1/4 inch blade, 2-inch cutting length. So you got a little 2-inch blade here. It's really narrow. It's only at its widest point, just about 3/8 of an inch wide at its widest point in the blades. It's a really narrow blade. And let's get a weight measurement. Did I mention that this is Blue G10 handle? If I didn't, it's a Blue G10 handle. I know in the first part I had described what G10 is. It's glass cloth that's put together with resin. Let's get this light off of the, so you can see the scale numbers. Hopefully that's showing up on the camera. Oops, I gotta tear it. That's dumb. Okay, it is a whopping 33 grams, which is 1.2 ounces. So we're well under that ounce per inch guideline that people like to throw around. Not that I really have any feelings towards that strongly either way, but yeah, this is a slicey little knife. Fits well in a watch pocket on a pair of jeans. Yeah, real slicey, real light, cute, good fit and finish. G10, so the scales on this one are going to be just about indestructible. There's almost no, I was off the camera, almost no way that you could break these covers, regardless of what you do to them, unlike bone, which, could have a tendency to crack if you drop it or something like that. These are going to be like bomb-proof, essentially.
It's cute. I just, the thinness of the blade is, I don't know what the practicality, like actually what purpose. It did not do a great job of peeling an apple because I think of the width.
For opening packages and stuff, it's perfectly fine. And the tip is very pointy, so it's really easy to stick into stuff. But yeah, I've opened a few packages with this, cutting through either the tape or the cardboard. It works fine for that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's going to be limited in capabilities because of how narrow the blade is. But I mean, it is slicey. You can cut into stuff. It's just you're going to be limited into what kind of other tasks you can do with it. Although I do like how pointy the tip is. I use the tip for a lot of stuff. Any final words, Ma? Color or anything like that?
I like the color. It's a really cute knife. I carried it in my pocket. I didn't even know what was in there.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the look at the Rough Ryder Blue Mule Small Toothpick RR2169. You can get it for $7 from SMKW. How about that for a price, Ma?
Oh, that's very affordable. It's something that if you don't have anything like it, it'd be fun to have.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this time. This episode of Practical Knife Reviews. We'll be back with more next time. Thanks for watching.